figured out.
Right.
Yes. It was all part of my plan, my master plan.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So a lot of things happened this week in wrestling.
Yeah.
Some pretty big ones. And we're going to talk about it all and then some. And if anybody wants to add to the chat, please feel free. We'll talk about what you want to talk about too.
Drop a line, drop a comment. We'll try and give you a shout. Sometimes when we get rocking and rolling, I look over and realize that we missed the chat, and then when I see like the recap stuff, I'm like, oh, this guy asked a question, we forgot to talk about it or something. So I'll try and keep my eye directed this way a little bit more and do that. I just find that...
And your wife thinks you're hilarious.
Oh, hi, hon. Yes. But I realize for some reason, I talk here... But then when you're doing your thing, I'm like watching you here, so like I gotta watch where my eye's at,
I've been trying to do better about looking at you.
Yes, I mean this is a pretty face, so
I don't know. So let's start the show without any unduly ado-ness.
Is this officially official starting, or is this just starting officially?
No, we're not.
What'd you do?
Oh, you wanted to start?
Yeah, we're going to start?
You want to start?
Start for real.
Oh, yes. Let's start for real.
All right. How many more times can we say the word start? Take a shot at home every time we say the word start.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of Powerbomb Weekly. Here's your reminder that now is your chance to help send Michael Burdett to the WWE Hall of Fame. Just use the hashtag Michael Burdett WWE Hall of Fame on all of your social media accounts. And as a special bonus, we just discovered that if he is inducted, Joey Marcello will be the one inducting him. Why? Because let's be honest, the closest Joey's going to get to any Hall of Fame is when he's inducting Michael Burdett. Now let's talk about this week's show. This week, Joey's going to straight up WWE a segment. The guys will also discuss Vince McMahon's interview with Pat Mcafee. Tony Khan has purchased Ring of Honor. What's that going to look like? Where is Cody Rhodes? What are the latest rumors? And MJF makes Punk bleed. And so much more. But first, your hosts. This man is a consummate professional, and his dream match is to headline Wrestlemania against CM Punk. This is the great Michael Burdett. And his co-host. This man is and his dream match is a lingerie pillow fight match against Hornswoggle. Yep, I said it. This is Joey Marcello. And now, on with tonight's show.
Oh, Kevin coming in hot, never stops, like a volcano that's ready to erupt. Mount Vesuvius is completely destroyed, and Joey is Vesuvius.
Right. So did you recognize the music?
What was the first one?
That was CM Punk's original music before he got...
Oh, that's right, yes. Before he got... That's not the Kill Switch song, right?
No, I don't know. They just screamed. Blah, 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 blah.
Then that's the Kill Switch Engage song, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I didn't want us to get, That
was his ECW theme, I believe.
I didn't want us to get caught on a violation by using Cult of Personality. And, oh, by the way, another show from last season got pulled off of the YouTube.
From last season?
From last season.
You know what? We should just drop video entirely.
I have.
Okay, yeah. So we're just done with video at this point. Plus, you guys watch us.
Well,
you can watch us recap. So you guys watching us, watching a segment, and then recap what we just watched.
That's not true because there's a video in this one. You'll see.
Already with the lies and deceit.
Already with the lies and deceit. So speaking of lies and deceit, Mike's gonna curse.
Probably.
Joey might curse.
Already did.
I didn't.
Did I? Or did you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll be cursing.
Yeah. There'll be a little bit of cursing today.
This doesn't matter because nobody cares because we tried.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it in there in case they want to get a picture. And who knows? Maybe the Hornswoggle song is copyrighted.
Possibly, yes.
So now let's ride. We got some good news, and I did not include the meme you posted 30 minutes ago because
it's so good.
It is so good. It'll be in next week's.
It's on our page right now, but I I saw it on my feed, and I just died laughing inside.
So, first, we're going to talk about the AJ Styles can't escape the low blows because he gets low blow everywhere. And this one,
every time.
Therapist Darth Hogan isn't real. He can't hurt you. I am your father, brother.
It's not bad.
Since we both love, Star Wars and all things nerd.
Star Wars and wrestling put together. You know, the funny thing about this is I wanted to save this for Raw, but I definitely want to hit this real quick just because we have the meme up. Not only because it's WrestleMania season that AJ Styles' nuts are not being protected at all, but also don't forget because it's WrestleMania season, Edge has to go crazy.
Yes.
So
we will talk.
Once we get to Raw of themes that apparently keep happening to set up WrestleMania events.
Man, Veer, the memes are getting good.
Did you see the Sheik?
Yes! The Iron Sheik!
The Iron Sheik! Where the fuck is Veer?
Even the Sheik wants to know.
Oh, I love it.
The year is 2059 and Veer Mir is still coming to Raw. And the rest of us waiting for the promos.
He's never... Well, I mean... So what I think... Let me throw this out.
Yeah.
I think he will show up the post-WrestleMania Raw.
Okay.
That if Veer ever comes, he will be there. Now, the question I have, though, is... There was another wrestler a few years back who was getting tons of vignettes that, hey, they're coming. And then finally, when they did show up, they did not come as they had been presented to us.
I was just going to say.
I was like, do you think this will be a Brodus Clay situation?
Oh, you're going Brodus Clay.
Yes, because remember, Brodus Clay was the end of days, the end of all things, right. The destruction of man, the destroyer, and then he showed up with the Funkadactyls.
He was number 3.
Oh, okay.
The number 2 longest premiere of all times was Emelina, who came out the first day ever, and then she's like, nope, coming back as Emma.
Gone.
And then she came out as Emma 5 weeks later from there, and then she was in Impact Wrestling the next week.
Yes.
So, Veer has now beat Emelina / Emma as...
Who is the number 1?
Him.
He is the number 1
now longest running...
Well... I mean, technically, Jericho ran for what, like 7 or 8 months before he debuted, as with the countdown clock.
Yeah, apparently, I could be wrong. Feel free to fact check me.
I would say Jericho would maybe be one of the longest held out debuts because those videos were what, at least like 7 months long of the countdown clock when he debuted at 99.
Well, okay. Maybe this is.
I mean, but
even the Iron Sheik wants to know.
That's his debut. This could be just someone coming to Raw.
The Iron Sheik even wants to know.
Yeah.
And, and you know who we can't say it is? We can't say the wrestler Gabe because he's gotten nothing.
Well, I did some investigation on Gable Stevenson of why our U.S. Olympic champion wrestler who has been drafted to Raw.
Drafted.
Keep in mind, I mean, I'm saying legitimately, they drafted this motherfucker on the draft show for Raw, okay?
Yes.
As a surprise. I found out why he isn't here yet. He is still finishing up his collegiate wrestling at the college.
Oh.
So he still had matches for his collegiate career that he needed to clear. He is in the Performance Center. I guess he said he goes down like every other week with his brother and stuff like that and works at the Performance Center. But that is why we have not seen our Olympic champion, is because he's still finishing out his collegiate career.
All right. And, so, we've got all these amazing matches already set up for WrestleMania.
So, I believe, was it last week or 2 weeks ago where I talked about the fact that we had 3 matches for WrestleMania
That was last week.
set
That was
up.
last week.
Last week. So, in the span of a week, we got triple, almost, the amount of matches.
And let's look at the part-timers, shall we?
Well, okay, so part-time.
Yep.
All right. Part-time.
Part-time. Part-time.
Part-time. Celebrity. Uh-huh.
The only match that's not on here yet that I believe will happen, and we'll talk about it more during Raw, will be the Demon versus the Damien.
Uh-huh.
So,
I mean, so this was something, strangely enough, when we get to Raw and do a little bit of recap, because we had seen the thing that McAfee was going to get the WrestleMania match, and it was going to be, the rumor was Vince, right? And for some reason, and I hate myself for not saying it last week because it would have put us ahead of the curve, I said, I bet he's going to wrestle Austin Theory.
I said it last week.
Okay, so we have it on the books that we called it before anybody else did. Because I was thinking...
And you said specifically, what is the point? Because you're either going to bury the kid because a guy who's on commentary beats him, or the kid has beaten up an announcer.
A part-time ex-football punter announcer.
Yeah, so you crapped all over this, saying this was a horrible idea and they should never book it, but I called it last week.
Yes. Yes, so we were ahead of the curve last week on that. And truthfully, I mean, obviously we have this, right? And this will probably be decent, right?
And the reason we're having this is because...
They wanted it.
Well, also... If we go in the Wayback Machine to about 15, 20 years ago, they were both at the top of their company.
Yes.
That was the Hogan versus Ric Flair idea. That was the two heads.
I mean, I guess you could say that.
AJ was on top of TNA.
Oh, AJ was the king of TNA.
And Edge was at the top of WWE at the same time.
Yeah, because that was before his retirement, I would say, yeah. But truthfully, out of all of this, okay, you got these two. None of this looks WrestleMania worthy. None of this looks like a... This right here...
is so he can go face.
So he can go face, and he can be done with him, because the idea is they're priming him for him. I don't know why we need to reprime Drew McIntyre for Roman Reigns, because he should have immediately been towards the upper top against this right there. I don't care. I don't care. Really don't.
Sasha is in a tag team now.
I feel so bad. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I hate all of this. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and, since I'm not at the house right now and cannot get booted in the nutsack, I did the special pre-order for WWE 2K NWO collector pack. So, one, I spent a bunch of money on a WWE game I probably shouldn't have. Two,
as I watch the comments.
Yes, as the comments will come through, you motherfucker. But I do get the 3-day early download pass, so I should be able to start playing tomorrow when the game installs, essentially, for it.
So you could beat me?
Yeah, but I'm getting to the point of this is that in that, our cover artist for the year is Rey Mysterio, and the 2K Showcase campaign that you can play is recapping the career of Rey Mysterio. That right there is what had me on the fence with the game of, I don't want to buy this because I don't give a flying fuck about Rey Mysterio anymore.
You also drank my Dr. Pepper.
She said it was hers! I'm so sorry! I went to get a drink and she's like, there's a Dr. Pepper. I think it's mine. You can have it. I'm so sorry. I'll bring you a Dr. Pepper on the way back, bud. Yeah.
And you know what this is for? Do you know what the whole point of this is? For Dominic to finally turn on his dad.
It's not going to happen. They said they're not going to do it. And truthfully, if this was WrestleMania, it should have already been father versus son at WrestleMania. And that should have been Rey's retirement match from WWE at that point. It should have been father versus son.
But that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
This could have been moved someplace else, or this could have been a singles match because they already had the thing from last year.
Yeah, but they both got booed, so...
Well, yeah.
Because they thought for some reason Logan Paul was going to get cheered.
I don't know that. Anyway, this has potential. You know, as much as we trashed Pat Mcafee a year and a half ago for his...
He proved some stuff.
He proved some stuff in the ring. He proved himself as a dedicated fan, which realistically, Pat Mac is living the dream that we all want to live of a fan getting to participate in the show.
And we'll talk about that when we talk about his interview with Vince.
That's really what it is. But athletically, what he has shown that he can do against this kid who is showing what he's going to be able to do, this could be the sleeper hit of the show. The other match that I don't care about that could have potential is actually this one. Just because Johnny Knoxville gives no fucks and surprisingly will do whatever it takes to get the audience behind him, and Sami Zayn can guide him. And
he loves WWE legitimately.
And he loves wrestling legitimately. So these, the bottom two are the two matches that offset the rest of this trash.
And this is only like one night's worth of matches.
Yeah, we haven't even got to what could potentially be night 2. All right, what do we got next?
All right, now we're going to start talking about McAfee and Vince. So, I watched this live.
Oh, did you?
I actually watched this live Thursday. And I did watch and saw the fact that, Vince was, in fact, 23 minutes late. And there were a lot of things that I saw on this that were very interesting, and a lot of things that I was like, wow, I can't believe he went there. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say that McAfee humanized Vince McMahon.
No, because there's no humanizing a robot.
Right. But he did get a lot of information out of him, and it felt somewhat natural because there were things that, if this was completely on a script, there were things that I don't think Vince would have let him say.
Yeah.
And the looks that he gave Vince gave McAfee sometimes, like, are you seriously saying that right now?
So I only got to see bits of it. I haven't got to watch it in full. And strangely enough, I kind of almost felt the opposite of, I kind of felt like McAfee, he went easy on Vince. And, I mean, keep in mind, he did call him boss several times. Yeah. So he is employed by this guy. And it's very easy to not be employed by Vince McMahon, as you could see from some of the comments that Vince made about his belief of hiring and firing of people. But I would have liked it to be a little bit harder, because there's a few things with Vince that are staples, right?
Right.
But I'm sick of hearing about WrestleMania 3. I'm sick of hearing about... I know, but I'm just saying, he mentioned Hogan and Andre himself. I'm tired of hearing about when Vince blew his quads out and all this other stuff.
That was brought up.
Yeah, there's a few Vinceisms that I'm kind of really tired with, and I kind of wished it wouldn't have been that, and I would have liked to have seen some more updated questions from what I saw. Like I said, didn't see the full thing. I would have liked to have seen some more updated questions or some additional follow-ups of questions, specifically probably the big bulletin point that we're going to talk about here.
All right, so a couple things that I have written down. Vince says he wasn't surprised that he was successful, but he kind of went back on that a little later in the thing. He asked him why he doesn't like the word wrestling.
Yeah, that was interesting, and I appreciate Vince's comments of he wanted to
elevate it.
He wanted to diversify himself from every other show about wrestling that had been going on, so changing the word wrestling to superstars, from belts to titles to hospital to medical facility, and all those bulletin keywords that have since leaked from the WWE about what you are and are not allowed to say when Vince is telling you what to say on commentary. And I like the fact that he said there will always be wrestling in the WWE. That's that's a fair statement. I mean, it does rub the fans a little bit wrong, but yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that he said that his father would never have sold the company to him if he would have known what he was going to do to it.
So the thing that's interesting for that is a statement that every old timer who knew Vince Sr. has made.
Right, and he's never said it.
Or people who worked for Vince Sr. has said that if Sr. knew what Vince was going to do, he never would have sold him the company. And one of the things that I found interesting about that I'm sure is a bulletin point in here, but I definitely want to talk about, is, did you see how Vince bought the company?
No.
Okay, so Vince bought the company on a balloon payment, which I believe he talked about in this, okay?
Okay.
Which is...
Oh, yeah, he did talk.
He had to make payments to his father to acquire the whole of the company.
Right.
If Vince missed a payment,
he was going to lose it all.
He lost all of it.
Yes. No, he did talk about that. He did talk about that.
And that was really interesting to think about. I mean, in a sense of business, and it kind of sets up a little bit of what Vince's mentality is from his dad, because realistically, most people, their dad is their hero, and definitely Senior is Vince's hero at this point. But the fact that you're not just... The narrative has always been, well, Vince bought the company from Senior, okay?
Right.
But really what it was that Senior put an incredible amount of weight on Vince to have to be able to succeed because he didn't think he would.
They brought up the whole WWF name change, and Vince claims he didn't know, like that damn polar bear, and panda bear. Yeah. And Vince is like, I didn't even know the WW, the World Wildlife Foundation, was even a thing.
I believe it. I 1,000% believe it because Vince lives in Vince world.
Right.
He always has. So for him to not associate or know about that is fine, in my opinion. I fully believe that Vince had no clue what the WWF was.
They talked about the Monday Night Wars. They talked about wrestling, going up head to head. And Vince said he's always loved competition from his. I mean, you would imagine with his father, he would have to have enjoyed competition. He's probably seen competition his whole life.
Well, yes.
And he says that he lived through beatings as a kid and felt like he lived through it, and that's how he lives through it now. I mean, I don't know if he's saying his father beat him or he was beat up as a kid by.
So. A little bit of Vince's past for those who
might not know. He grew up in a trailer.
So Vince's presentation of himself in certain things has kind of gone a little bit of the way of he was born with a silver spoon and all that stuff. Vince was not. So Vince's father wanted nothing to do with Vince. He was not in his life. I don't think Vince met his dad till he was 12 years old. Vince lived with his mom. His mom lived in a trailer park, I believe, in North Carolina, and she had abusive boyfriends. Vince said he was abused. In the neighborhood, Vince was beat up a lot because of where it was. He lived in a trailer park. This is legitimate.
Which is going to make that Netflix series interesting.
Yes, Vince had not an easy start to his life, to be perfectly honest, and that's always been something that I think the Mr. McMahon character has overshadowed his earlierness, and that might be Vince's own shame of not wanting to publicly admit those things because of the presentation that he has put out of, junior to senior, succession of, the father and all this other stuff that they had. But yeah, his Senior wanted nothing to do with Vince.
And that's interesting because I've been following wrestling for over 30 years and knew none of that. Granted, I could pick up a book, I could read an internet, but that's just not something the common average fan would know.
Yeah, it's not super talked about. Pritchard has talked about it on his shoots and a couple other places. But yeah it's really interesting, Vince's character of Mr. McMahon versus Vince the human.
Yeah, they asked him, McAfee's like, did you dream dreams of growing up wealthy? And he's like, no, I just wanted to get out of the damn trailer.
Yeah.
Vince said that it wasn't until after WrestleMania 4 or 5, he couldn't remember, that he actually felt like he'd accomplished something. And that's probably about the time he finally paid off his dad, I think.
Well, I would say it would be more 3 at that point.
And then he said he developed an ego, but that only lasted about 6 months, which is bullshit because he's still got an ego now.
Oh, yeah, he has a huge ego. But I think Senior might have been dead before WrestleMania 3. I'm not 100% certain. I'd have to go back and look. But, I mean, I think the reason for WrestleMania 4 or 5, and WrestleMania 4 and 5 are kind of lackluster to a certain point.
Right.
I think the reason for that is that, and we had talked about this previously about kind of wanting to do a show around the story of WrestleMania 4 and 5 because that's where Trump gets in. And that's where they do the Atlantic City stuff. And one of the reasons for that has been brought up is after WrestleMania 3, and this is why I could see WrestleMania 4 or 5 being what he feels is a good, his catalyst point is because nobody wanted to deal with him after WrestleMania 3. They thought that 3, with the Skydome, the Pontiac, they thought that 3 was the best that they would ever do. And they were having trouble with distribution, with cable, with pay-per-view and stuff like that, booking a venue to do the next WrestleMania and stuff, which is why they came in and did, those shows there, because he gave them the hotels to do it in,
Right.
And that was the big thing with it is that, after WrestleMania 3, the perception was in the cable industry that they'll never do better than this.
Right.
So I could see why he would say 4 or 5 would be his big accomplishment.
All right, so I know you're going to want to talk about this one. Pat Mcafee said the people on the internet assume that Vince has no heart. He asked how difficult it is for him to cut people. And Vince said, it's all about the business, and sometimes you have to cut the dead weight.
I mean, I don't think he meant to say. Maybe he did.
Well, he said. Well, to set it up, and I'm not sure if you heard or saw the.
I did see it.
He said.
Like I said, I saw the highlights.
He said, "Look, I used to look at this as a personal-to-personal relationship. I used to think to myself, man, I can't fire this guy because his mom's got cancer, or this guy's behind in his payments and his rent, and if I fire him, he's gonna survive. He's not gonna survive." And he said at one point in time, he just had to flip a switch and go, this is a business. It's not personal. Either you make it or you're not. Sometimes you have to cut dead weight. Now, he may have felt that way early on, and he retracts it a little bit later on when they asked him about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Because he stopped having to make it personal. However, what the big problem is, in a vacuum, saying you got to cut the dead weight is not a bad thing to say.
No.
You got to. But since we don't live in a vacuum, and all of the dead weight he cut was not dead weight, it was very viable weight.
Yeah.
Not all of the weight he done.
He cut a lot of meat off the bone. To be perfectly fair with some of the people that he cut. Now, this is the issue with this statement that I have. Okay. And this is my issue.
Yeah.
I get it. We've worked together. You've heard me say flat out, be like, fire the motherfucker. You know? Be like, oh, well, what about this? Be like, fucking fire him. I'm done with him, you know?
Right,
I've had enough, right? But the thing with that is that Vince said the statement, if you really read between the lines, that we all know that we have mentioned, but not a lot of people, I guess... I don't know if I can say the perception of, but what I'm getting at, I'll stop, rambling, is what Vince said is that when I took the public company, the business became more...
When I took the public company?
When I took the company public, the business became the priority over the WWE family.
Right.
And that is what we have said for years about it, but how he said it, put it into... He put it out there and framed the context perfectly for what we all knew, which is Vince sees the machine as the most important thing, not the components. Not realizing the components is what turns the gears in the machine, essentially. And that's what he said. And that, to me, was an incredible revelation, a pretty shocking omission, even though he didn't state it flat out like that.
Right.
But Vince basically said, the machine is bigger than the people.
And he also said he has no problem being the bad guy.
Which is fine. You're the boss.
You vilify me. And every boss should think that way.
You can like your boss, but he's still your boss, and he's going to ask you to do a shit job some point, and you're going to be like, really? And it's like, yeah, really.
All right, so I want to ask you this, because, you listen to shoot interviews.
Okay.
You're the historian of the show.
Okay.
So Jim Ross has told the story. Bruce Pritchard's told the story. So do you think that Vince McMahon was retelling a story that he had heard? Or do you think he truly... I guess that's a bad way of putting it. So he told the story about how Jim Ross came to him and said, hey boss, I was in the bathroom and I heard them go wanting to kill you.
I know this story that you're talking about. I'll frame it for everyone out there. Essentially, when Vince began to take over and was... So what a lot of people also maybe have forgotten is, the WWE DVDs did this great job of framing Vince's narrative of he had a vision, and his vision was to unite all this stuff, and everything was kind of busted down into all these regional promotions, and nobody had any major direction, and there was the NWA where, all the promoters got together and met and did their thing, and that's kind of how the system worked, and Vince was this visionary who saw national, who saw everything. So, and it's not exactly true, but it's
Because England had the same vision once upon a time. They were going to expand their empire all over Europe and the world.
Yes.
And they met with the leaders of all these other countries and decided...
invaded them. And what happened is that when Vince got the WWF and started making his place for national television is he had actually gone to the NWA promoters that backed him for getting the sale of the company and had told them, I will not poach your territory, essentially, when he started rocking and rolling.
Wink.
And he did. He poached Vern, he poached from Vern, he poached from FCW, he poached from Portland, he took all of the people that he could possibly take. And, for people who follow this shit, you know who I'm talking about in those people. But they were going to kill him. I don't know how exactly in-depth the thought process was. I don't know if this was like a Carol Baskin and Joe Exotic situation where somebody just said something or what. But the story has always gone is that there were several NWA promoters in the bathroom and they were talking about killing Vince. And I thought it was the King. I thought it was Jerry Lawler, not Jim Ross. I might be mistaken, but I thought it was... No, that's right. Jerry Lawler was in the bathroom taking a shit at the fight that Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had.
So Jim Ross was like, I put my feet up on the toilet, and so I was like super quiet, and then bodily functions started happening to give his position away.
Yes, that's essentially the story, is that JR overheard them, and he tried to hide himself by putting his feet up on the toilet so he would not become an accessory to capital murder. It was interesting to hear Vince actually tell that, because I don't think Vince has ever talked about that.
They brought up Saudi Arabia, and he, of course, did the grid political. They're fans, and we believe we should bring wrestling to the world. I mean, great PR.
I mean, it's great PR. It's the statement that they all want out there. And realistically, we make light of things, but, people should be able to get entertainment shows as well, too. But let's be real for a second. You made a fuck ton of money off of those princes, dude. You didn't do it out of the kindness of your heart. You are not taking the show to, like, Sri Lanka or, Bangladesh or, what's one of these, like, 200 small warring nation African countries and stuff like that. I guarantee you if one of those fucking warlords paid Vince McMahon $20 million to come run a show over there, he don't care how many people they fucking murder over there. He would probably do it.
Finishing this up a little bit more, he mentioned that his mother lived till she was 101, which is a pretty thing, and then I think this is going to be...
I didn't know that.
They're going to use this line when Vince finally dies, or the batteries finally no longer charge, or the oil needs changing, whatever the case might be.
The battery's low and lights are getting dark, man.
Pat, he says that before he dies, he wants just 1 second to say thank you to everyone. And he gave this like almost little eulogy. I want to thank the fans and the people that supported me. And I think that when he does finally die, that is the clip that's going to be played for at his funeral. If
I just want to say thank you.
Yep.
I mean, it's humble. It is humble.
And then I said, well, I can't believe he went there. So when you die, who's getting the company?
This was the other big interesting one I think that came out from the show, is that Vince basically said, whether it stays in the family or somebody else runs it,
it's all what's best for business.
It's what's best for business. And that right there to me said, thanks for playing, Hunter. You did not win the game.
The game is over.
Yes.
And then 2 days later, they fire his super executive president of NXT.
Yep. Hunter is completely isolated at this point. The only person I think that works at the company that has a position that is one of his guys is Sean. And truthfully, I think Sean would fuck Hunter at the end. I think he would. So
Vince said Vince said you have to look at family members like other employees. And he said there have been some employees he respected even more. He said he probably expected more out of his family than conceded that it's probably not been the right thing to do. He expected more out of
I think that was a shot at Shane.
Probably.
Whether that's a worked shot or a shoot, I don't know, but that really seemed like a shot at Shane of, I was going to give Shane the company. Shane left. It screwed everything up. Shane came back. Shane has not executed the way that I want. Shane's not here right now. Maybe shouldn't have put all that on Shane.
Vince said he doesn't. Vince said, because they asked him about, how do you know when you, because they went back to the whole cutting bait thing.
Uh-huh.
He said, well, how do you know when you do that? He says, you listen to the audience. You listen to the audience.
Which he does not.
And then he said, that you listen to the audience, but a portion of the internet audience can be biased, so he doesn't listen to any of it. So he doesn't listen to the internet audience. He listens to the audience and the people in the arena, which 100% I believe, because they cheer Brock Lesnar in the audience. They don't on the internet. They cheer. They didn't listen to him when they were booing Roman Reigns, when he was shoving him down the throat. But when he brings back these celebrities...
Well, but here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that, and I think that is a little bit of an oxymoron of a statement to make. And the reason I say that is because the motherfuckers are on their phones.
Right.
What do you think they're doing when these moments happen? They're recording them on their phones to put on the internet. Also, the internet is a free domain of publicity for you to get your shit out there when things like that happen. The other thing with that is that we have seen you be full of fucking shit and pump in audio crowd noises for cheers because guess what? The people in the arena with their phones have recorded the complete opposite soundtrack to what you have presented to national television. You put in cheers when guys are getting booed out of the building. Also, possibly, when the internet, as a larger fan base, if you're telling me that, Joseph, how many people are in the world right now? 7 billion? 8, 9 billion? Something like that?
I thought it was like 3 billion, but yeah, okay.
Okay, there's like 3 billion people in China, homie. Alright, so, here's the thing. If you have the ability to reach 6 billion of 7 billion people in the world, right? Why would you not listen to 6 billion people as opposed to 12,000 people in an arena?
I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of the perception that I think that's a really stupid statement to make. Now, you can't... The internet fans are fickle, and because the culture, as we talked about, changes very quickly because the internet is, as bad as it is designed to do what it does, which is information. But information keeps moving faster and faster and faster, which is why we jump from a thing to a thing to a thing because new information has come, okay? The thing with that is that he's not analyzing that information that's readily there to be used. Because, and I'm not just hampering this because he's my guy, but you cannot tell me that Karrion fucking Kross was not over, was not interesting, was not important, and when you put him in Lord Humongous gear and took Scarlett away and took his music away and had him lose in 90 seconds to Jeff Hardy, that the people in the building were as dead as fucking raccoons.
Which he then said, they're not cheering for him because he's not...
They're not cheering for this? Why? Because we presented him on TV for 2 years as a monster, and then he just lost, and now he looks like a fucking fool. We need to cut him.
He wasn't paying attention to NXT.
That's why I say, maybe you should pay attention to the billions of people in the world as opposed to the 12,000 in the arena.
He made a slip up at one point in time, and he referred to my wife at the time, and then had to correct himself. Said, actually, I'm sorry, my wife.
Oh, that's all right. I don't think him and Linda talk. I don't think him and Linda fuck. So, yeah.
And I think that
I think that's like a Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton situation.
With the whole internet thing, he said that he does rely on it. He said he relies on his wrestlers to tell him some things sometimes. And they actually brought up, Pat Mcafee brought up Aleister Black. He said there's a story where...
That's interesting.
Where he says there's a story where Aleister Black came to you and said, here's what I want to be my music. And you said you didn't get it, but whatever you think the people will like, and that's what you went forward to. And he just kind of gave him that look like, I can't believe you just said that guy's name. Yeah. And he's like, no, that's true, because I don't listen to this kind of music. And I was like, oh my God, he said Aleister Black. And he brought other people's names up. So, last two things.
Okay.
he referred to Michael Cole as a horrible human being twice.
Yes.
And everybody's like, oh, it had to have been a joke, But if it was a joke, Vince was no selling it.
Yes.
Big time. He's like, so you know, my partner, Michael Cole, horrible human being. He's like, no, he's right. He goes, no, he's a horrible human being. I'm like, oh, shit. And then the thing that I says is, Pat McAfee's like, you know, when I got the job here, I'm going to paraphrase. When I got the job here, all I kept telling was like, Vince is going to be in your ear. Vince is going to be in your ear. He's going to tell you what to do. You're going to be a parrot. And all of my friends were like, you got to let us know how it goes because, Pat, you'll tell us the truth. You won't bullshit us. What's it like? What's it like? And he's like, the dude's never in my ear. So, I mean, where does that come from, Vince? And he goes, they like you. You do your job. I don't have to be in your ear. The day you start fucking it up, I'll be in your ear.
And that's actually one of the last things as we cap this off that I want to say.
That was the last thing I had to say.
I will say I was actually, you know, we survived the Attitude Era, okay?
Right.
And I'm sorry, I don't think it's nearly as good as what it's celebrated as.
No,
going back,
there was a lot of bad.
There's a lot of bad in the Attitude Era, okay? But even then, there were things that they didn't do. I was really surprised to hear Vince say fuck several times.
Right.
Like, he said it several times. Like, he called somebody a motherfucker one time and said some other stuff, and I was just like, I don't know if I've ever seen Vince use that language. Like, you know, Austin, you son of a bitch,
right.
You asshole. I've seen it, but like...
Oh, he told the bedpan story, too.
Yeah. I was like, I just don't know if I've ever seen Vince be that loose with...
anybody.
Some of his... With profanity in that manner, you know?
Or
I was really kind of surprised of, you know, how natural it kind of sounded to Vince, you know?
I almost wonder if Vince thought, well, nobody's going to watch this anyway.
Oh, no. Vince, the only reason Vince went on the show is because he knew people would watch it. More people watch the Pat McAfee show than watch Raw. Like, that's...
I just wanted to see how it was looking on the...
Okay, alright, yeah, that's good. But yeah, if you get a chance, check it out. The Pat McAfee Show, special guest, Vince McMahon.
It was good.
It's good. It's not bad. It gives a different view of Vince, but it gives the same view at the same time. And if I was Pat McAfee, I would have risked my job. And if Vince, if you ever want to come on a show, feel free to come on Powerbomb Weekly. However, though, I'm not going to fluff you. I'm going to ask you straight up the very first question out of my mouth from Pat McAfee, if I was him, would have been, are you scared of AEW? The very first thing I would have said was...
He mentioned AEW and he said he loves competition.
Yeah, but I would have pressed that more and said... I would have said something along the lines of... Or even led him a little bit further and go, are you surprised at the fact that AEW has picked up talent that you have cut, that you have referred to as dead weight, and are now doing double the numbers they were a year ago and are encroaching the numbers that your flagship show is doing right now?
With the people you cut.
With the people you cut. I would have asked him that question. I wouldn't have gone deep and be like, hey, so how about that sexual harassment suit or something? Probably not would have gone for that way, but I would have asked him the legit fan questions of, like, what is your opinion of AEW? Why did you not buy TNA when they were floundering and almost out of business? What happened with this? You know, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that, but also Pat McAfee got a WrestleMania match out of it, and I don't, so there you go.
All right, so now, as Kevin put in the intro, I'm going to WWE this shit.
Okay.
All right. Previously on Powerbomb Weekly.
Previously on Powerbomb Weekly.
Thanks, Kevin.
So now you're telling me that Dolph Ziggler, the mid-card tag team, been here for 20 years, we don't know what to do with you, you're never going to be a main eventer, you know, again, except for in a tag match with Robert Roode somewhere. We don't know what to do with you, but we have you under a multi-year fat contract. Go down to NXT and challenge our world fucking champion? Well, literally, sorry Dolph, mid-card talent is beating up your world champion. Not Brock, not him, not who? Okay, I see where you're going with not this. Seth Rollins, not KO. Okay, this show has no one. Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre said he wanted to go there. Send Drew McIntyre to NXT because then you have a credible threat to Braun Breaker. Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is kicking the teeth out of your world champion on your show. That's going to make people want to see it because Dolph
made me really think hard.
Okay, I was like, let me guess, the numbers are in and NXT did the best numbers of ever because Dolph Ziggler was there.
No, but it was a great match. No. Okay. So, let's talk about our NXT champions. Let's talk about how Vince feels about his WWE champions. All right. So over here is all the WWE NXT champions that no longer work with the company.
Okay.
And over here we have the ones that still work with the company and have gone on to Stardom. So, Adam Cole, Aaron Neville, Bo Dallas, Samoa Joe, 3-time champion, Karrion Kross, 403 days, 140 days, 260 days, Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, Keith Lee, all of these amazing champions that have everyone here, with the exception of probably Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville, and almost everyone else on this list are main eventers.
Yeah.
And Vince cut them.
And I was actually about to ask.
And
aside from
all of the ones that are starred,
these two, I think. Where's this guy at?
Yeah.
Where,
it's challenging for the main title.
Where's this guy at? Where's this guy at? Where's this guy probably going to be? Where's that guy at right now? This guy's probably going to be somewhere too.
So
is that Andrade?
Andrade.
Okay, so where's he at?
Yeah. So now we look at on the other side of this. You have the people that actually went up to the big show or on the big show. So these two people are still in NXT, so they don't count. Mm-hmm. So you've got Finn Balor, Big E, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. All of those people have held the main belt.
Okay.
One of the two main belts. Nakamura, never got a shot. Rude, not even close. Zayn, not even close. So, of the 20 champions that NXT's ever had, only 5 of them have gone onto a big show. Now, all the ones in blue are just the last 3 years worth of champions.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Why is Dolph Ziggler fighting Braun Breaker? Because they don't give a damn about this belt.
Yeah. Also,
Drew McIntyre, I think of those 91 days that he was champion, that's 91 of 100 that he was actually in NXT.
Yeah.
He came straight from Impact, won the title a week later, and then dropped the title and was heading the main event of. Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard for a cup of coffee.
Here's the thing too that I kind of want to. I mean, it's interesting when we talk about this. Mid card,
right?
Back to mid card. Okay.
Yep.
Him. These two. Okay. Yeah. Sure. They were in the main event. All right. We'll talk about this in a minute when we talk about MSG. Stuck in the mid card, maybe challenging Roman after WrestleMania. Mid card. Oh, look where he's back.
Lower mid card.
Never
left the mid card. But here's the thing: was this not an multiple Impact World Champion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't he
not just World Champion? Bobby Roode, beer, money.
Okay. Wasn't he a New Japan champion?
Yeah, he was a 2-time New Japan champion, I believe.
Finn Balor wasn't New Japan champion, but he was in a huge thing.
Yeah.
So why Dolph Ziggler? Why is Dolph Ziggler fighting Braun Breaker? This is why, Mike. This is why.
Yeah. Also, realistically, they pay him a bunch of money every year to stick around the company, and creative has nothing for him. So go to NXT. Go.
But no, I really thought about I was listening to the show in my car, and I was kind of listening to how things. And there's sometimes jokes that you say that I completely miss, and I'm sorry about that. Okay. But I'm like, huh? And you're real passionate about this. I'm like, I don't want to take the winds out of his sails, but he's barking up the wrong tree. So I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just thinking about all the NXT champions since I started watching, which are the ones in blue.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something. Because, I mean, I know Seth Rollins was the first champion, and then Bo Dallas was like the second. I mean, Finn Balor was the longest combined champion, followed by Adam Cole.
Yeah. I mean... Do you see that I'm not wrong now? Also,
I didn't say you were wrong, but I'm just now you know why.
Again, though, but I mean, not to rehash because we saw the clip, we talked about it. Feel free to go back in the archive and check everything out for it. But if Dolph is not a credible threat at this stage to Braun Breaker as a program, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And I think I know why but I think I know why he's there. Because they don't.
Creative has nothing for you?
Well, Ciampa can't hold the belt anymore. It needs to be Braun.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that...
So Dolph beats Ciampa with shenanigans, and that way it can be Braun Breaker and Dolph Ziggler at Stand and Deliver, because Ciampa needs to move on to something else or go to Raw or SmackDown or whatever. So Braun has someone worth fighting for, because it's not Adrian Chase, it's not Tony Mafia.
Well, don't get me wrong. There's nobody on the NXT brand, in my opinion, except for the guy that he took the belt off of, that actually has any credibility against him right now, aside from... You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, and, you know, Vince listens to the crowd, and since Vince and Pritchard are in charge of NXT right now, if there's anybody on the card right now that should be fighting Braun Breaker based off crowd reaction, it would be fucking Chase U. He gets a bigger crowd reaction than anybody.
All right, so let's move on.
Yeah.
So, Tony Khan will make a huge announcement. We watched it live. You posted it. You actually posted it on Facebook before I got a chance to watch it live.
I was minutes behind this clip getting posted online, and I don't want to talk about AEW acquiring Ring of Honor, right? And I don't want to talk about the fact that the WWE was in the process of trying to get Ring of Honor, and Kerry Silkin decided to sell it to Tony because he knew that he would take care of it more as a wrestling program than just as a dead and buried archive program like he has with WCW, NWA, Florida, AWA, and all these other 30,000 pieces of promo things that Vince owns over the years. I want to talk about this motherfucker's haircut. Because this is his real hair, and that is the fakest real hair that I've ever seen in my life. What is going on here? What has happened? This looks like somebody chia-petted his hair, you know, with the proper seeds in the water, and, you know, this is the fakest real hair I've ever seen in my life.
So what happens the next day? Of course, we're hearing this. AEW is planning to use Ring of Honor as a developmental territory, and now many fans, including my father-in-law, who said he never left AEW, he's going to be in charge of Ring of Honor. Here's the problem.
Cody never worked at Ring of Honor, if I remember
No,
correctly?
he did.
Okay, he did.
He did it right before he went to AEW. He was actually working with Ring of Honor when they split off and created AEW.
Okay.
On them.
Okay.
So, what has Cody Rhodes multiple times say, I am not who?
Hunter?
I am not Triple H.
Which is funny because he said that he learned the most and respects Triple H.
Right. But I am not Triple H. I'm not trying to be Triple H. I want to create a company that gives the talent, not just me. To his credit, he never went for the world champion. He went for it once, didn't get it, never asked for it again. But he did get the TNT title twice.
I can't say to his credit, but did you want to see Cody as that?
No.
I think really the problem with that is that Cody lived during the Triple H reign of terror,
right,
where Triple H buried everybody for a decade.
So much that he's not Triple H. What's the first thing he did on the very first pay-per-view? He took a sledgehammer to a throne.
And then he did it again. And then he did it again.
Okay.
And then he did it again.
So now we're talking about the fact that Ring of Honor may be the developmental program, the C show. He has a wife that's on air loud and obnoxious. He's probably rumored to be the one heading up Ring of Honor. Does that sound like anybody else? Does that not sound like what Triple H was doing in NXT?
I mean, it does, and realistically, you are more Triple H than you are Dusty. Sorry, kid. But
now, there's a rumor that came out today that said he's still going to be at WrestleMania.
Well, I've also seen the rumor that talks have fallen through, because essentially what happened is that before news broke that he was leaving AEW, when they were talking about their contract, Vince had offered him a fat check, and then they rewrote that contract, and Cody's fat check has now turned into a small bag of
coins,
essentially. So he's like, yep, not going to WWE anymore. Here's the thing with this, and I want to talk about this just for a second, because I remember a company a few years ago that made another deal, a working relationship, as it were, with a developmental company. Let's talk about Impact and OVW. That was a massive drain of resources on them. There was nobody...
Was it OVW, or are you talking about GCW?
No, it was OVW, because GCW was Jarrett's thing, okay?
That was a failed...
Yeah, I mean, it was a failed thing, but essentially Jarrett was outed from Impact, so he tried to do his own thing, and that didn't work because he overshot his reach, did not exceed his grasp, essentially, for what he was trying to do for that.
Okay, so...
But the thing with that, getting back on track, is that was a massive drain of resources on them. Why do they need a developmental territory? They have Dark. They have... Other than the fact that they have done something, other than the fact that they've done something that over the last few months we have talked about, is the roster has become incredibly bloated.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of people that I'm sure Tony wants to keep under contract that he can't justify because he's not having TV at this point with it. Brian Cage!
He said Brian Cage.
I watched a Brian Cage match the other night, and I was just like, God, I fucking love Swolverine, and I had a whole booking thing in my head of how they could book him, and how WWE, if they got him, could book him, that maybe we'll talk about at some point.
Did you remember the match between him and Wardlow?
Yes. What it was I saw an Impact match with him. I apologize, we're digressing. I saw an Impact match with him, and I was like, God, he was so good. And then I went and watched the Ospreay match from like 4 months ago, and then I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. But anyway, moving on. The point that I'm getting at is that this, for all intents and purposes, is a dead brand. Okay? This is a fan brand, and that's fine. But Ring of Honor is dead. They don't have their TV deal anymore, as far as I know. They bought Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor was owned by Sinclair Broadcasting. They didn't buy television on Sinclair Broadcasting, which I believe is actually having trouble right now. The only thing that is going to help this become better for them is the other rumored announcement that I don't know if you have a slide for, that is supposed to have being made at Revolution. Have you heard this?
No.
One of the rumors out there right now is that AEW is about to ink a deal with HBO Max to provide streaming content.
Yes, okay, sorry, I did see that.
That is the only thing that makes this worthwhile, because they don't have enough content, in my opinion, to support a digital library on a streaming service. They do.
Right.
So if they own their content, they can easily have an ROH tab under the AEW page, and that gives them the ability to do this. So if that's what this acquisition is for, great. If it was for more talent, not really necessary, because truthfully, you pretty much took the people who matter with your Invasion storyline at Impact at this point, which you could easily pick up. So it's like...
So the two things...
I feel that if this was just to get the fan pop of they own Ring of Honor, I feel this was a terrible misstep. See Impact and OVW, because all the people that wrestled on OVW were a bunch of, well, they were me. They were skinny, pasty white guys who couldn't really work. But if this was to acquire content for the potential announcement of their streaming deal with HBO Max, then this was a good move on his part.
Yeah, because I did read that their contract with TBS TNT is not going to last much longer. But may not last much longer.
But it's a Warner subsidiary, which means it should get re-upped at that point. And truthfully, if they tie it into the HBO Max thing, I already have HBO Max.
I do too.
I bought HBO Max specifically to watch fucking Peacemaker.
And Dune. How'd that go for you? Anyway, so here's the thing. This is what Joey thinks.
Okay.
Awesome. Make it two separate companies.
No.
Don't interbrand with each other. Don't make this your developmental.
No. This is what you do. Developmental, they shouldn't be interbranded with it. It should be on their side. The other thing with that is that don't do an invasion storyline.
Because those don't work.
Dear God.
Because those don't work.
Do it. Not only do they not work, I am tired of invasion storylines, especially in...
Impact's doing it right now.
Impact has always had one.
Because Honor No More just
has been invaded since its inception. 3 months after they debuted, they were invaded by Vince Russo's Sports Entertainment Extreme faction. And then after that, they were invaded again. And then they were invaded by the X Division. And then they were... Impact is always on the... They're Ukraine right now. They're just always being invaded.
Oh. So anyway, I just think they should exist in the same bubble and umbrella, but they should definitely be treated as two separate, not one better than the other. And the other thing that I read that was kind of disappointing is the people that are on the card for the Ring of Honor Super Show in April heard about the purchase of Ring of Honor from AEW at the same time we did.
Well, of course, because...
None of the talent found out about it.
The talent doesn't know shit. And I'm sorry if you get, bitchy on the internet, but realistically, you people know you don't know anything until it gets announced anyway, because they're not going to blow the announcement on that. The other thing with that is...
Because it got spoiled.
The other thing is that does answer the question that we had a few weeks ago of how the fuck can they have a Hall of Fame with... WWE doesn't have a building. They don't have a company. How can they have a Hall of Fame? Especially almost everyone they've announced in their Hall of Fame works for AEW right now. Well, they answered that question. They've bought the motherfucker.
All right.
So they will have a Hall of Fame ceremony with CM Punk, with Daniel Bryanson, with
Samoa Joe?
With Samoa Joe.
So Ring of Honor, you have Samoa Joe and William Regal come run the place.
Yeah. I mean, they seem fine together.
And make it their own thing.
The other thing with that I have to ask is, at this point, and this goes into a little bit longer, and we'll talk about it maybe in the future, but...
As we hear more about what's going on.
The point of AEW was to give a spotlight to people that weren't getting the spotlight. Mm-hmm. If they keep just using the WWE guys, it's just going to be... WCW again, you know? And that's, unfortunately, that is a bit of the perception that WCW has because of the Vince DVD narratives for it. But truthfully, other than the fact of the people that they used when they used them for a brief time period, WCW never really used WWE talent in a major push until Hogan showed up.
Okay, agree.
Go back and watch the 80s ones. It was everybody that didn't work there.
I agree. So it was, All right. So, there's a lot of news this week, like we said. And we covered it all in an hour, which I'm kind of impressed with.
Yeah, because I was about 10, 15 minutes late. Nice.
So, let's talk about the shows. So, I've changed up the way we do this a little bit.
Okay.
We go NXT, then Raw and SmackDown, then AEW.
So, we're not Powerbomb Weekly. We're Powerbomb whatever we feel like?
Well, no, I'm just saying that to keep it flowing, because we were doing Raw, breaking up the NXT, then back to SmackDown, because we were going by the week. Just trying to keep it all flowed together. So I wrote nothing in NXT. I brain farted on what actually happened, aside from 2 really good matches and a lot of other crap.
There was a lot of crap, I'll go through this real quick just to kind of give a recap of it. For some reason, we decided to start the show with Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa defeating Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Good! Storyline dead!
Oh, yeah.
Dead! Because they lost fucking clean.
It's not dead. That spear, though.
Oh, no, I'm getting there.
That spear
The
was
spear
amazing.
was awesome. It's on our page, I believe. Check it out. Braun Breaker destroyed Dolph. Again, good guy to bump for.
Yep.
Personally, I would have rather seen, Big Bob Roode be a bit more interesting in this. Fine match. Really enjoyed the match. It was good. The kid looked good. Tommaso Ciampa looked good. Everybody played their part very well. But again, storyline dead. They lost. Why?
The women's Dusty Cup was a large part. There were a lot of women's matches this week.
Okay. So, Dakota Kai, who's crazy, and Wendy Chu, who's apparently stupid, are a team against Indy Hartwell and Persia Priorta. Either way, Indy Hartwell and Persia lost again. They're terrible. They're not very good. And the whole storyline is building to the fact that Poker Room Duke is poking Persia, but he used to poke Indy, and he is causing friction between Persia and Indy because Persia's dating the guy that Indy thinks that she shouldn't date, and he's constantly giving winks to her and the camera about what he's doing, and she's having an issue because Dexter's not returning her text messages. This was bad. This was very bad. The match itself was not very good. Again, I stand by my statements that I have made for over a year and a half now. Dakota Kai is one of the worst fucking wrestlers I've ever seen. She has no clue what she's doing.
And then we get Lash Legend, and Dakota Kai can't wrestle.
So, Lash Legend, former WNBA player, defeats Amari Miller. Amari Miller, who is actually not bad, can't catch a fucking break, and she has not won any match to my knowledge. Not saying she hasn't, I'm just saying I have not seen her win one. If the Lash Legend versus Saray match was so bad that Saray had to go back to Japan and collect herself by collecting her dead grandmother's fucking dollar store Hot Topic necklace, then Amari Miller is probably just going to go jump off a fucking bridge. This match was bad. It made no sense at all whatsoever. I thought they were a team last week, but because they lost, and then Lash Legend jumps up on the apron after she beats her and cuts a promo about stuff. I didn't understand it, but this was 2 minutes and 56 seconds. I want to say this Ray match was also about the same amount of time, which leads me to believe that once again this match was longer and was edited for television of how bad it was. She is not good. She is uninteresting. She can't talk. This is an abortion that happened on live television. Moving on to Walter, who clearly... I would like to say that he is upset at the fact that this whole Gunther Walter thing is not getting over, but I can see the glimmer of his eyes of, yep, I knew this wasn't going to get over. So Walter comes out and he defeats Solo Sakaya. The storyline that WWE is presenting for this is that Solo Sakaya had to take 2 of Walter's power bombs in order for Walter to pin him. No, what happened was Walter powerbombed the motherfucker twice because he wanted to. Solo Sakai, who some of you may or may not know, is one of the Usos. You can probably tell by looking at his face that
Tattoos.
He is definitely one of the Uso boys. I don't know why he's not being billed as one of the Uso boys. It would make sense, and it would be more interesting than having him be some kind of weird Muay Thai street fighter from the island kind of thing.
Which, again, the audience, which are friends and family, who are chanting, Walter!
Oos! So! Oos! Oh! The whole time. So again, everybody knows who this kid is, and he's being presented as this other thing. And why do people die a death on national television, Vince? Because of shit like this. He should just be Solo Uso, or Sakai Uso, or whatever name you want to give him. He doesn't have to be with the bloodline.
He could be Jeffrey. He could be Jeffrey Uso.
Whatever.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, there you go. Jimmy J and
Jeffrey.
Jacob, Jeffrey, Jeremy, whatever. I don't know. But either way, the point is that surprisingly, him and Gunther did not have a bad match. It was not a bad match. It was a fine television match. it being in the middle of the card, being thrown together for what it was not bad, except for, well, Walter is now just another fucking guy on the roster. That's all this said to me. It had no special, no pizzazz, no flair around it. It was just a fine match. But once again, Walter is just in the middle of the card. Okay.
Your favorite?
Harland, the Brock Lesnar clone, Parker Bordeaux, defeated Draco Anthony in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Now, the whole point of this storyline is that Draco Malfoy here is being courted by Ian Bear. Okay? And Ian and his protege here are trying to convince him the ways, but Harland's a psychopath, okay? How he is allowed in the building, I do not understand, because he attempted to murder Brian Cage so much that Brian Cage quit the company and then got fired by AEW for being a crazy person who believes that the Holocaust never happened and then that the lizard people run the Illuminati.
That's because of the brain damage he suffered from falling down the stairs.
Harland throwing him down the stairs. Yes, no, that motherfucker has had brain damage for 30 years, okay? So, and I think he's only like 32. Anyway, moving on. Draco Anthony, who has not won a single match since his debut. He hasn't won a match. Now, Joseph, I have a question for you, okay?
Sure.
All right. You watch other sports. You watch football and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's just say for a second that you're the coach.
The Browns? Of the Browns?
Even the Browns, sure. Okay, let's go for that, all right? You're the coach, right? And you step back and you go, man, you know, we're really struggling here at quarterback, okay? We need a new quarterback, all right? You're the Browns. You do need a new quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, hey, we need a new
quarterback. A couple years ago, they were 0-12 for like 3 years.
They have the worst losing season, and I believe technically they have the worst losing record in the NFL season because they also went 0-16 like the Lions did, but the difference between them and the Lions is that the Browns were also 1-15 the year before.
Right.
So they had a 30-game losing streak.
Right.
Back to my thing, all right? And you go, man, we really need this. Draft's coming up. We really need this quarterback, okay, right? All right, so here's what we got. We would like to draft a quarterback who's never made a pass.
We want Tony Romo.
We want a man. Tony Romo made passes. He just couldn't win games. This man has not won a match. Why would you want him? He hasn't won a match. And he lost to Harland in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Afterwards, they pick him up off the ground, and Ian Bear tells Harland to hug Draco Malfoy, and Harland does. Also, I want to jump back to earlier in the promo of... So they're in Florida, okay? Weather's nice. Yeah, it's good out there. They cut a promo in the forest of Florida with the camera at that wonderful, like, up-tilt, like, 20-degree angle to make it look more spooky and stuff. And they just said stuff, and I have no clue what they said, so I can't recap.
Remember, this is not personal. This
is... Be like, because the guy's like, we all have a thing in us that we need to share with the world, Harlan. Whatever the fuck it was. This was a terrible promo. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, but they were in the building. We saw them. Why are they out back in the woods now?
Remind me of the Wyatts.
Oh, Lord. This is horrible, okay? And then Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez defeated Valentina Flores.
After we get to watch a montage
of... Oh, I don't fucking whatever, okay? This was bad. They've booked themselves into a hole starting with next week, because if you look at the teams who are fighting next week, if I believe I'm correct, it's like the teams that should be in the finals are fighting the other teams that should be in the finals, okay? So, and I want to say that next week we've got Dakota Kai's team versus Raquel Gonzalez's team. So we're already going to have the resolution to that, I guess. And it's just... I feel bad for the Spanish gals because they put so much into their entrance.
And they weren't supposed to be. They were the bracket busters.
Much like Draco Malfoy, I don't think they've ever won a match.
No, they won the match to get into the tournament.
No, they were just there, weren't they?
No, they beat a team. They were Bracket Busters.
Who did they beat?
I'm looking it up.
There's no way they beat someone.
They did.
The only people... Oh, wait, no. I think you're right. I think they beat Lash Legend and Amari Miller last week. Is that what happened? No, that can't... No, because Dakota Kai... Anyway, fuck it. He derailed my train of thought. Moving on. Von Wagner. It's Von Wagner's world, and sadly, we are all living in it. Defeats Andre Chase in 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Again... Let's hold up, slow back, hit the brakes, reverse for a second. Let's talk about the crowd reaction. Nobody gave a fuck about Von Wagner. No one. Robert Stone is not working for him, okay? Andre Chase, who had the biggest crowd reaction almost of the night compared to the spear that Braun Breaker put on and people shouting Walter at Walter, he lost to Von Wagner. At least Von Wagner has new trunks. Carmelo Hayes in your main event, he pinned Pete Dunne. I don't remember this match. I don't remember anything about this match, and that's what they've done to Pete Dunne. And Carmelo is good. He's getting there. He's good. NXT was a terrible show. It was a terrible, forgettable show that had some okay matches. The segments were not very good. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that I'm missing. Oh, the one segment that I would like to talk about before we jump off this is the fact that LA Knight has since challenged Grayson Waller to a last man standing match, which Grayson Waller has accepted. I want to say this was very early in the show. LA Knight is a main event mouth with,
Okay, so you're right.
He's great. Just get him off of this show.
So I was wrong. You were right. So next week, it's going to be or the finals.
It's Candice LeRae and Io Shirai versus the other two.
Casey
and Caden.
Right, and then on the other side, it's going to be Indy versus...
No, it's not Indy because they lost. It's going to be Dakota Kai and
Wendy Chu versus
Cora Jade and Raquel
right.
Gonzalez.
You're right. The young Hispanics did not...
Yes.
Did not...
They've never won a match, to my knowledge.
Right.
Do you have anything else to say about NXT other than the fact of...
Moving on to Raw.
This is a not good show anymore.
Moving on to Raw.
Now we'll get to the point of, I don't remember much about what happened to Raw.
So, Finn Balor is a champion again. And Priest blamed the fans. He won clean. And now this is where I think it's going to turn into the Demon versus the Damien.
Oh, yeah, because they have to have this at the... And this goes into something, though, that I was thinking about, actually, on my drive home from work this morning, okay? I tried to think of this. Do they have any baby faces in the fucking company anymore?
Yes. So
No. I'm talking about, like, credible baby faces who are... I mean, is this a bad thing? Are we just so disillusioned as people, as a society, that we can't cheer for someone who does good things for doing good things? But out of baby faces that work at this company, I can think of one person, and I can't cheer him right now, who works as a good baby face that's credible, is Drew McIntyre, except for the fact that he swings a sword at people.
He's also on SmackDown.
You're
talking about both brands?
I'm talking about the whole fucking show.
All right, so...
Everything. Drew McIntyre is the only credible babyface that they have because they buried Big E, they buried Kofi, they buried Finn, they just flipped Damian Priest, it seems like, for that reason. Randy is crazy, and you know he's the Viper and can change at any minute, so you can't really get behind him as a babyface. Edge just flipped. AJ's boring as a babyface, even though I think he's better suited as a babyface at this point because he's been a whiny heel for the last 4 years.
So you're just talking about the men, obviously.
Brock is Brock.
The Street Profits.
They lost! Oh, wait, no, sorry. They won because they accidentally killed Randy.
So speaking of which, did Montez actually hurt Randy?
Wait, hold on. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins defeated Chad Gable and Otis. Congratulations on killing Alpha Academy.
So that makes...
Congratulations, you have killed Alpha Academy.
Does that make Kevin and Seth the baby faces of the match?
Well, no, this was a heel program for everyone involved for it, and the whole point that they had this match was they had to have this match so that way they could get into the Madison Square event that we did not get, by the way, because the WWE decided to host an event in Madison Square Garden and not give it away for free for people. The match itself was not terrible, don't get me wrong, other than the fact that it was a complete waste of fucking time. Also, the show that they had the whatever it's called, the KO show where they did the segment and stuff was terrible. Okay, now, did Montez really hurt Randy?
Yes!
But no. I thought he broke his arm.
I thought he cracked his ribs.
I thought, because Randy did that, I thought he did the thing that, what happened? Who was it that had that happen where the guy did the splash and landed on his arm and broke it a couple years ago?
I don't remember.
I thought that's what happened because of the way he was. The story is that Montez went up for the 5-star. He came off, landed on Randy, knocked the wind out of Randy. Now, when people say knocked the wind out of you, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. Maybe it's because of movies or things like that where people say, hey, are you okay? And they're like, oh, I just got the wind knocked out of me. Got the wind knocked out of you means you can't breathe and you think you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Randy felt. Randy said, I can't breathe. A human being just landed on me. I might be dying. And he rolled out of the way because Montez went to kind of cover him and Randy just kind of rolled out of the way and Montez kind of had a confused look. And Randy looked at the ref and said, pin me.
And here's the problem. That's what should have happened. Instead, we crap on the WWE from the people in the truck all the time because you're like, you missed the shot. You missed the shot. Why was I looking at the crowd when this amazing spear happened? Oh, no. We're going to focus on all of the discussions that the 3 wrestlers and the referee are all having on how they're going to finish this match.
I didn't think it was that bad.
It was horrible.
It was not that bad. You're being smart. It was.
No, I'm not.
It was not that.
We couldn't go to a replay. We couldn't have done any of that. We're watching them discuss.
They were not. He's making it sound like that they
when they're all of them have got their heads down.
Everybody had like a fucking cigarette and a cup of coffee in their hand, and they're like, "All right, how do we get out of this?" Or anything. None of that happened. It was very simple. Of Montez went to put the arm on.
If I wouldn't get canceled,
Randy rolled out of the way.
If I wouldn't get canceled, I would pull the video.
It was not. It was like maybe 4
like
seconds.
Everyone's standing around him, looking at him. They were like,
well, yeah, because they thought Randy, who just thought, I can't breathe, I'm going to die in the middle of the ring right now, was having that thought. And the ref is who I fault more than anything. Because the ref was the guy, much like the UFC refs, when they see a guy knocked out, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I stop this or what? Do I throw the dreaded X sign up or whatever? He was like, and Randy was basically like, pin me, motherfucker. So Montez rolled over and pinned him. It lasted maybe 4 seconds in the ring. It was not that bad. It was not that bad.
Then Hulu chopped it up for you.
It was not that bad. Maybe they did, but I will truly say that I did not think it was that bad. By the way, Omos returns to Raw, not to Hulu, and he defeats T-Bar in 42 seconds.
They watch our show, because I was like, where's Omos? Does he even work there anymore?
He doesn't need to. He beat T-Bar in 42 seconds. Thanks for playing T-Bar. Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley defeated Becky Lynch, Doudrop, and Nikki Ass. I did not hate this match.
And Bianca whipped the shit out of Becky.
We're getting there. I did not hate this match. I hated how this match came about. I do like the fact that Becky tried to sell this in the back by saying that her and Doudrop had their problems in the past, but they were going to work together tonight to get the W, because I believe Becky is one of the only people that I can think of in recent memory who said that if they win the match, they get paid more money, which is a fucking genius concept. If you win the match, you make more money.
I'm not dramatic.
Why would people who get teamed up with people that they don't like or have problems with or just had a match with want to team up to work together to win a match? You make more money if you win. Fuck, it's a simple concept, right?
That's what they say on AEW all the time.
Well, yeah, but then we'll talk about AEW in their comments in a minute about where they were like, after the bell, everything's legal. You can't get written up after the bell. After the bell, you can't get any suspensions or fines or anything. It's all legal after the bell. That drove me fucking nuts, okay? But anyway, the match was not bad. The girls looked okay. I hated the fact that Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley, okay? Bianca Belair and Ripley, the WWE has seemingly made their decision that there will be Bianca and then there will be Ripley. And as of right now, there will be no interchanging of these ladies, okay? There will be Bianca on top, and then there will be Ripley. And Liv Morgan is kind of there because she's over with the fans, and she's not bad in the ring. She's become a decent talent, okay? She's over. That's what I'm getting at, is Liv Morgan is over. They were just in Elimination Chamber together against everyone. And I understand that in a free-for-all, it's a round-robin of ass-kicking, okay? But they were hugging and high-fiving each other when they would do a move, and Ripley was all smiling, and her and Bianca were, like, swinging on each other's arms and stuff like that. And I'm like, she took your WrestleMania main event spot to become the champion. Don't hug her for 20 seconds and laugh at each other while you're in the ring doing spots. You're Rhea Ripley. Don't do that. Liv Morgan has been the crazy girl back and forth and stuff like that. Don't do that.
Hey, where's Alexis?
Alexis is getting married.
Oh, is that where she is?
Alexa had her bachelorette party. I believe you can see photos for it on her Twitter. Alexa posted a weird thing about her being gone, and people were all very sad about it like that. So Alexis leaves to have stenitis surgery on her nose, comes back for nothing, and now apparently will probably be gone again here soon because she'll be on her honeymoon, okay?
But Asuka's cleared.
Who gives a shit? Bianca whips Becky. Bianca hit Becky with her hair because that's her gimmick, okay? That will probably at some point get back to Bianca having a hair versus hair match against Bayley when she'll get her head shaved if Bayley comes back as a heel. But Bianca whipped Becky, and Becky had welts and scratches and stuff like that on her. Now, I don't know how this works, okay? I know how a whip works when you hit somebody. I know it takes a couple seconds for the welt and everything and the blood to form, right? Mm-hmm. It takes a second for the skin to react because it smacks, the skin reacts, okay? Or it slashes. Your battery is running low, sir. Now, the thing with that, though, is that Becky had no mark on her for a very long time. And then finally, when she got up to the ramp... Yeah, you might want to plug that in. When she finally got up to the ramp, because she kept pulling her shirt up and going, ah, 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 and nothing was there. And then pulling her shirt up and going, ah, 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 and nothing was there. And then finally at the top of the ramp, she pulled her shirt up, and you could see all the welts and streaks and blood dots and stuff like that all over. Did somebody run up and just, like, smack her real quick to get that shit to irritate to come out?
Well, at least it wasn't Sika Sakai's face falling off.
Yeah, at least it was not that. Okay. Tommaso Ciampa defeated Robert Roode in 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So, again, your storyline's done. It's done on NXT, and it's done on Raw. Dana Brooke and Reggie defeats Akira Tozawa and Tamina.
And Tamina kisses...
This was on TV. I didn't get it, but this was on TV.
And then at the end of the match, Tamina kisses...
Reggie.
No.
Dana Brooke.
No.
Akira Tozawa.
Tozawa. Dad watched this match. He goes, I remember when Tozawa was good. Because he remembered New Japan. He remembered...
Akira Tozawa is, I believe, one of the lowest ranked powered superstars in the new WWE game. There's one other person, I believe, who is right below him.
Reggie?
No, it's not Reggie. They posted the full roster with rankings on there, but I know he's really low. It might be like Drew Gulak or somebody, but somebody on there is really, really... Oh, no, it's Daivari. Daivari, I believe, is the lowest ranked one. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin defeated Dominic and Rey Mysterio because... I don't know why. The Hurt Business has been buried and dead. Dominic and Rey are about to go to WrestleMania, and they just lost to that because The Miz got involved. By the way, this is the other thing I just want to go over real quick. They gave Rey Mysterio a mic. Now,
don't do that anymore.
There's things that you should and should not do in wrestling, and giving Rey Mysterio a mic is definitely one of them, okay? Because he's not very good on the stick. And his son is even less, okay? Because his son is unbelievable in all things. Just like it's unbelievable that he's not, Eddie's kid, because that's true. I don't know if in recent memory, in the last few years, okay, at least not since like the late 2000 eras where things were just bad, I don't know if I've ever seen a promo fall flatter than this. Nobody cared for this promo.
Nope.
Nobody cheered. I don't even think the production crew cared enough about this promo to actually put in piped in audio of what Mysterio was saying to have people react to it.
It went as well as the Bailey It's Your Life. Moving on. So,
No. Because your boy Miz also tried to get the promo over by doing his whole "when my hand goes up" thing.
Yeah.
And nobody cared.
Right. Miz couldn't even help it. So moving on. Austin Theory went into Vince McMahon's office and said, hey, I'm going to make things happen. And this was before the Vince McMahon show. So that's when I thought for sure Austin Theory was going to crash the Pat McAfee show, and that didn't happen.
Well, no. What he said was he tried to hype Vince up by saying, do you think Pat will try and fight you?
Right.
Which no one thought.
Right.
This was bad. And Street Profits win because of a botch. Randy's okay. Apparently word in the back is no heat on Montez. The phrase I believe that Randy used was "shit happens, kid."
Right. Which is very different than what Randy used to do.
Yes, Randy Orton would have called him stupid and had him buried. However, though, we'll see if Randy Orton is in fact a Viper, much like Shawn Michaels, and buries Montez down the line. Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Finn Balor's your new champion. Great for Finn to have a belt. Sorry it's the U.S. belt. Sorry you're stuck in this program with Damian Priest and you're going to have to put on your Venom makeup to go wrestle Damian Priest at WrestleMania most likely. And what will probably be a good match. But,
hey, at least he won a belt and got to win, and he's getting pushed a little bit.
I guess so.
So, we're going to go a little faster with SmackDown. We're not going to go match by match.
That's okay, because SmackDown had absolutely nothing completely interesting at all happen on it whatsoever, aside from the fact that Ricochet got a belt for the first time in 3 years, I believe. Good for him. Naomi and Carmella did a thing because they're going to have a tag team match at WrestleMania for the belts with Sasha Banks because they have nothing for any one of them to do, and Sonya Deville's storyline is dead. Drew McIntyre defeated Jinder Mahal because Jinder Mahal is dead. The Usos defeated the Viking Raider Express people because they're dead. And then Ronda Rousey defeated Sonya Deville because she learned how to do a new move. That's it.
23 minutes of wrestling in a 2-hour show.
Nothing was on the show but
7
promos.
minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 8 minutes, 3 minutes.
Nothing was on the show except for promos and hype for WrestleMania and the Madison Square Garden show that we didn't get.
So, the show starts off with like everybody got a promo and different parts of the building. I'm like, oh, look, all the promos are taken care of. We don't need to do promos anymore. Yeah, that didn't work.
No.
New champ.
I just did all this.
Yeah. McAfee apparently is blaming Cole for the setup. The thing I like though is I cannot wait to see $5 million worth of fireworks.
Okay, I apologize. I do want to close out SmackDown with one thing. Head of the motherfucking table.
I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna take your belt, and then it's gonna be $5 million worth of fireworks all around the arena, celebrating me. Like, I want to see $5 million worth of fireworks.
The thing is with that is that the passion that Roman speaks with is so believable. Roman is in God mode right now. Yeah. Legit. Because he knows when to enunciate his words. He knows when to speed up, when to slow down. He knows when to get angry. He lost it and was like... I loved it when he said... after I beat him, and he's like, Brock Lesnar will acknowledge me. Me! The head of the table! Like, that's when he lost it and broke. And even Paul Heyman's facials are great in the back. But that right there was the absolute pinnacle of the show. It was one of the best promos in recent memory that's happened on there. Head of the table, baby. Madison Square Garden.
The only thing that you really got to know about is Brock Brock's mystery opponent?
Well, no. There's two things that happened on this that I need to scream about.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you got a thing to do. We're going to get through
No, I just was trying to...
No, I get it.
We got plenty of time.
If you want to read the results, we'll have it posted up online. But the two things that I need to talk about this is Roman Reigns defeated his mystery opponent of Seth Rollins. That's right. Seth Rollins, who Roman Reigns has never beat in a singles match, lost on a show that no one will see. Roman Reigns beat Seth Rollins for Madison Square Garden only, and we will never see it. So I guess technically it didn't happen. Brock Lesnar defeated his mystery opponent of Austin Theory, and Madison Square Garden booed. I have seen the cell phone footage. They booed them so hard when Austin Theory was debuted as his mystery opponent.
I guess he still got the concussion. Bobby Lashley still has the concussion, I guess?
Yes, Bobby Lashley has a 4-month concussion. Yeah, this was bad.
And the whole reason So then Brock Lesnar... so then the Bloodline came out, destroyed Lesnar, Roman Reigns. The pictures are all over the place. Roman Reigns holding both belts over a very bloody Brock Lesnar, draped over some steps.
I'm pretty sure Brock bladed. I'm pretty sure that Brock bladed, which is maybe... If they because they brought cameras to film the Brock Lesnar stuff. If they brought cameras and decided not to stream the show, because I don't know if they would have brought the production trucks and stuff with them, but if they did not film this because Brock was going to blade, that is terrible. Because this show should have been good enough to be presented on Peacock as a special.
Peacock! Oh, and we broke a Jeep so we could sell a toy. The New Day's toys.
I have to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why does the WWE feel the need to...
Insult you?
Inflate things? Value of material possessions specifically. They said that Big E's four-wheeler was $100,000. It was not the Spider ATV, okay? It did not have web shooters and things on it, all right? You know, it was like a Banshee. It was $100,000. It didn't even have a radio. And they said it was a $100,000 birthday present.
Well,
why?
Because for the same reason that Drew's sword is from the tooth of Loki.
That's him making shit up. They said... Can you even buy 100? Does one exist on Earth? I'm gonna Google real quick while
the average price of a
and what the most expensive ATV is.
Just look at average one. We're gonna move on to
the average one is like what, $3,000?
I don't know. Look it up. We're gonna move on to AEW while he finishes out SmackDown. All right. So we started with the promo. Started right out the gate. Hey, I bought Ring of Honor. I did like the line, Shane. No. Shane's not here. Shane's not here. This isn't real, which is, made sense because they were in Florida where that all happened. So what's the average price of an ATV?
I didn't look up average. I looked up the most expensive ATV quad bike, mind you, in the world right now is the GG Quad Duster customizable four-wheeler from BMW Engine that's got it in it. It is $65,500 with additional options and storages. Heated grips will increase the price.
BMW.
Well, it's just got a BMW engine in it.
Right.
So the GG Quad Duster is the most expensive four-wheeler in the game right now. It's $65,000. That was not that.
No. So, in AEW, they referenced the very first ever Ring of Honor main event, which was Danielson, Christopher Daniels, Bryan Danielson, and they never said who, and neither one of them won, so I thought, oh, it must have been the two of them that went to a draw. Then I did my research and found out, no, it was actually Low Key was the third person in that match.
The average cost of an ATV in 2019 is about $7,000. Okay. They have gone way up since I had one.
So, Low Key was actually the winner of that first Ring of Honor main event. And I thought it was weird that, neither one of you won, and I knew it killed you inside, so apparently Low Key beat both of them. They had an amazing match, though. And Christopher Daniels apparently is still selling the fact that he's only got one good eye due to some injury. Match was great.
Yeah.
And it was a good start. And then the other really, really big thing from Dynamite that wasn't a match specific was the promo with CM Punk. We both had disagreed on how we thought that was going to go. I didn't think they were going to MJF was going to reveal his cards so quickly. You pretty much, if I remember correctly, said they need to, otherwise it doesn't make sense. And
well, no, what I said is that we had discussed that this was a work within a work,
right?
Essentially, right? That's what we had come down to. And what you said would happen is that would happen at the pay-per-view because Punk. You thought that MJF would win this match because Punk would be unable to finish off MJF because of the emotional attachment that had been laid on him, and then MJF would betray Punk in the match.
Right, yes.
They decided to do that before then, which solidifies my statement of Punk will win the dog collar match because that will lead to the rubber match of the third match, which will finish it off because I believe on the Revolution show that we're going to have a quick rundown here in a minute for, that will continue the dissemination of Wardlow and MJF, so that way Wardlow will finally break away from MJF.
Right, because Punk got low blowed and then bloodied.
Yes, and hung.
Bloodied and hung.
Yes.
Now I appreciate the cameraman not showing his feet still touching the ground. That I'm sure or however it looked, but and he was bracing it on the back, obviously, but...
Yes, he was bracing it on the back. Also, the trick to it is that if you notice, the dog collar is really loose around it, so it's not cinched up really tight. It was high up on the neck, which hurts your neck more than anything, but you're constricted further down here. And also, Punk grabbed it and held his weight and kind of leaned back like that and kind of dangled, so he's not in any major danger.
But the promo, hell of a promo. Both of them stepped up. But I didn't think you could step up any further on that.
It was good. I mean, the blood solidified it, which means Punk is going to bleed like a motherfucker because he bled a lot from that. Okay?
And I liked how the great shot of it, the best shot of it was where
the knot on his head.
Well, it was the fact that MJF took the blood from him and just put it over CM Punk's face on his shirt.
No, it was on young Maxwell.
Oh, that's okay.
He wiped it.
Oh, that's right. No, it was the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
CM Punk was wearing the shirt.
Yeah, it should have been over. Well, no, MJF had on the Polaroid photo of him and Punk as a kid. And I agree, he should have smeared it over Punk's face.
I thought he did.
But it also works that he smeared it over the young Maxwell's face, because that means that, the child is dead.
Right.
That's gone. I thought, looking at it both ways, it would have worked both ways, and it was perfect. It's a hell of a promo. It's on our page right now. Go check it out.
The tag team battle royal, which was a gauntlet style instead of the everyone jumping at once, more of like a Royal Rumble. The big news from that was that Top Flight was back. Darius Rucker, not Darius Rucker.
I don't know who the fuck he is.
Darius has not lost a step. You were really impressed with him at the beginning. They looked great.
Yeah.
I actually thought there was a chance that they were going to go over, but I remembered the Bucks were in it, and so
Bucks got a buck.
The Bucks got a buck. Martinez and Thunder Rosa did a number on Britt and Jamie Hayter, which was nice.
Apparently, Thunder Rosa could have possibly been injured in this match, but I guess she came out on Rampage and said she's cool.
Right.
Don't know if she's actually cool or if she got hurt. We'll find out later.
Somehow Caesar Banzai beat Wardlow because of shenanigans.
Congratulations, Wardlow. You are now being buried.
No, he's not. It's all part of the bigger storyline. And then the Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly versus...
57 seconds, by the way. Wardlow lost in 57 seconds.
I think this is wrong. I'm pretty sure Wardlow won that match. No, they fucked this. This is fucked up. Wardlow won that match. He powerbombed him twice. And that was the end of the match. This is wrong.
Okay.
And then moving on to Rampage, The triple threat match was pretty amazing. Keith Lee versus JD Drake.
Can I just talk about something for a second? This match was fine. Andrade has no personality.
No, God, no.
He's terrible.
Absolutely.
He's got a great physique, and he's decent in the ring for what he does, but he has no connection to the crowd at all whatsoever.
None. Zero. Never has.
No one cheers him.
Nope.
Even when he's being beaten, no one cheers him, okay?
No, I agree.
I hate Sammy's cue card thing.
I skipped through it.
I hate it. It takes so long.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's during the break and break, so you don't have. You can fast forward through the commercials,
but it takes so long.
But you fast forward through the commercials.
I don't get that.
Oh.
I don't get that option. The way my guy cuts it that I get to watch online is I basically get to watch the highlights. I don't always get to watch the crap, and I don't get to watch the segments, but I usually get to watch the major segments that lead into things.
Right.
And I always have to watch Sammy's fucking cue cards, and every time I'm due, I'm just like.
Because it takes all 3 minutes of the commercial.
It takes all 3 minutes to get through it. And I think it's dumb.
I agree.
Doing it once was fine. Doing it for a pay-per-view, doing it on his Twitter is fine. But every show. Mm-hmm. Keith Lee defeated JD Drake, as he should. And then he destroyed everyone after the match, as he should. How do you build a monster, Vince? He destroys everyone. Unfortunately, though,
when he caught that big dude on his shoulders.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh. Keith Lee has an amazing moveset. The dude is a fucking stallion. The only problem with this is that, once again, we have your major WWE talent that Vince overlooked, fucked over, kicked out of the company, coming into AEW to get a huge reaction to go directly into the mid-card nothing zone.
But they don't. I would argue.
Problem.
I would argue that AEW doesn't really treat the mid card title like a mid card title.
True, it's not exactly. But I'm saying is that, it took Adam Cole 6 months before he could get to Page, and he had to have a stupid program with Cassidy and the jobber guys and all that stuff that was really bad for him. Daniel Bryan lost, and. I mean, I guess technically Bryan's the closest you could say, but it's Daniel fucking Bryan. Of course you're going to book him at the top of the card. But everybody else has kind of just shown up, got a pop, gone to their place.
Well, that's because there's so many places. That's the problem.
That is a problem.
There's so many places. But I would not... I like that because it's still... I don't know. I like the fact that it's not all the WWE guys immediately get to take titles.
Oh, no, that's fine, but I would like to see, if you bring in Keith Lee should have one match that he had at the very beginning where he destroyed everybody and everybody bumped for him and he looked insane, and then Keith Lee should probably be immediately at the top.
Well, I feel like Keith Lee's next immediate is going to be with Orange Cassidy. That's what they're
God, no. Fuck no.
That's what they're teasing, and then he destroys Orange Cassidy.
If they stick Keith Lee with Orange Cassidy, and I like Orange Cassidy, I get it. It's on our page, I believe, right now, but I did talk about, Tony Khan, I should say, talked about what he finally figured out what Orange Cassidy is supposed to be.
Because he didn't like him at first.
Sense for what he was talking about, but Keith Lee and Orange Cassidy should not happen. Because
either that or it'll be Powerhouse Hobbs, which makes more sense.
Which is what they led to in this one, because Hobbs and whatever that
Team Taz
guy came down. Yeah.
All right. So, from the promos, we learned that Jericho's actually lost some weight, which he doesn't look as much like a canned ham.
He posted it on his Facebook page. Also, Adam Cole posted a picture, or Britt Baker posted a picture on her Facebook page or her Twitter page about Adam Cole's dad bod with Adam Cole with abs underneath of it. I know how to use Photoshop too, hon. And Jericho apparently learned from Britt Baker how to use Photoshop because...
Adam destroyed Adam. There was some destruction there. Paige Van Sant is now all elite. We learned that.
Well, she can't fucking fight in the UFC, and she can't fucking bare knuckle box, so she might as well go be all elite, because she's a pretty girl, and she's very athletic, but she's lost the last 3 bare knuckle fights that she's had, and she dropped the last several MMA fights that she had, so when all roads fail, go to wrestling.
Death Triangle now has a new member.
Redbeard!
He got such a pop.
I cannot believe that the roof blew off the place for Redbeard, of all people. Other than the fact of the memory of Brody Lee and the love of Bray Wyatt is so strong for that fan base and that crowd. Again, not knocking either one of them. Fan of both of them. Love Mr. Brody Lee. I'm looking forward to possibly purchasing the combo pack with your kid just because I believe that your kid should have a college fucking fund since you're not going to be there to support the family. But Redbeard?
They popped. Huge.
So hard for Redbeard. Jericho flew out of his seat. Redbeard's here!
And then Sheeta's back. And Sheeta didn't come back with a trinket from the Orient. She didn't come back with superpowers. She just came back with a little fucking makeup that says, I'm back and whipping some ass.
Yes. Also on
this is how an Asian should come back from the Orient.
Also on our page, you can go and check at the comments that Sheeta made in response to AEW, Asian talent working in America, the issues that they have, the cost that's associated with that's not always offset because of the visas, the traveling, the lodging, blah, 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 that we can go through. It's a wonderful article. I didn't think we would see Sheeta back. I'm super happy about that. And much like the difference that you just highlighted with that to NXT, I don't think we're going to have, Hollywood Barbie come in and bash your brains in against the loading dock.
No.
Well, did you notice that Saray's medallion now has an LED light in it?
I didn't see Saray last
week. So Saray in cheerleader, in schoolgirl outfit was in the back, and all the girls were around admiring her necklace, and it was lit up red. And I was like, because my wife was walking in, and she's like, what? I'm like, Joe Beth, look, they added an LED light to it. She's like, fucking dollar store looking piece of shit. And then Tiffany Stratton came up and got all pissy about, like, the thing. She either said it was trash or she wanted to buy it and the girl said no or something, so then she grabbed her by her ponytails and slammed her head up against the fucking loading dock door.
I guess I missed that part.
It was dumb, but I needed to tell you that they added an LED light to it.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
Darn!
So it glows red.
So,
AEW was fucking cool, man.
So, Sacrifice did have their... I'm going to quickly go through Sacrifice's because there were some interesting things that did happen. Because a lot of... So Trey Miguel is still the X-Division champion. He beat Jake Something. Eddie Edwards, who turned on Impact and joined Honor No More. He beat Rhino.
I love Eddie Edwards, but I'm also on the fence of I'm fucking tired of Eddie Edwards always being at the top, in the main event.
He was the second match of the night.
In the most important, he's always the most important thing in the company, doing the least.
So, and in his wife doesn't agree with his decisions because we haven't seen that before. Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood beat the former Iconics and are now the women's tag team champions.
I don't think the Iconics should be employed, except for Peyton.
Jonah and defeated PCO, and apparently this match blew the roof off. PCO is old, but he can work.
Yes, I don't get his gimmick.
I don't either. I don't like the Frankenstein thing. Granted, he's not the Mountie anymore, but this whole evil, this half zombie,
I don't get it. When he wrestled Danhausen, it made sense. By the way, going back to AEW, my favorite thing to come out of the CM Punk and MJF thing was Danhausen's tweet that he put out where he was like, perhaps Danhausen should have stayed under ring longer to help CM Punk.
Yes.
Loved it.
Because he did get involved in the...
He was involved in the earlier match where he was under the ring, but the immediate segment after that was the CM Punk MJF promo where Punk got bladed, and he's like, maybe he should have stayed under the ring and helped Punk. That was amazing.
Jay White had an amazing match against Alex Sheely, almost 20-minute match, which does not surprise me at all.
No, that's
After the match, Alex Sheely wanted to shake Jay White's hand, and he said, we don't do that. Because,
Yeah.
Perazzo beat Chelsea Green for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Tasha Steelz defeated Hardcore Country because Tasha Steelz's tag team partner got involved. Oh, surprise!
I'm just surprised that we had a title change from Mickie James so soon after her Royal Rumble appearance.
Eric Young and Joe Deering, which are violent by nature, took the belts off of the Good Brothers. Thank God, because I can't stand the Good Brothers. Did I tell you the whole 3-bump thing? So when I was...
yes, you did.
And then Moose defeated your boy Heath. And then immediately after the match, Hooded Man came down, waylaid Moose. It was Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander is back with the company. He said, thank you for sending me home. It's where I could hang out at Anthem. I could get my visa takeout, and now I have a champ. My next pay-per-view, I'm going to fight Moose, which needs to happen. Because the whole thing was screwed, and I was there, and I didn't like it. So, the last real thing to talk about tonight is now we have all of the information to make real good picks. See if anything's changed.
So I want to ask you a question before we start this off.
Yes.
Okay? Revolution is a pay-per-view that is... Revolution is their WrestleMania at this point. At least that's the way that they are.
Because it's the road to Revolution.
Yes, it's now the road to Revolution. Marketing, I guess, right? But also just the sense of Tony Khan has spoken about the events that take place as Revolution as
revolutionary
the catalyst for where the company goes afterwards. They've talked about the titles. They've talked about this. Tony Khan did a lot of talking this week, as you can tell. Is this not a better, more interesting card than WrestleMania is right now?
Oh, hell yeah!
We have all of the matches.
Oh, yeah!
And every match on this card...
And this is going on right now.
A fucking point.
Oh, yeah. And this is going on right now, so we...
Oh, I thought it was next week.
No, it's going on currently as we speak. We do not have any spoilers. We don't know any of the wins. We have not. But we're going to predict the matches. So... we're going to start at the bottom. Pac, Penta, so Death Triangle versus House of Black. It is on the pre-show.
Oh, this says buy-in. I thought that said Blu-ray. I was like, huh?
That's the buy-in because they're pre-show. That's what they call it, pre-show.
I don't think this should be on the pre-show because this is going to be fucking awesome.
Well, they always start with one of the best matches first.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. If you're watching this for free, are you not going to want to see what happens on the rest of the show?
It's true.
Because if they're not giving you the shit for free like
WWE does. Truthfully, I would have put Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho on the free show.
That makes sense. All right, anyway.
Okay.
Who do you got on this one?
I don't... Does the House of Black debut another new member, which I think is going to continue to devalue and water down the House of Black? Or are they going to let... The whole... I don't know. I really don't know because they bring Redbeard out to assist in Death Triangle.
Because
House
Ray's
of Black
out.
has got the 3 because Ray's out. And then Malachi and them took off into the stands. But usually when you see... do you have to get... Is it the WWE logic?
You can't use that logic with this company.
I know, but is it the traditional pay-per-view logic of whoever looks like butt on the pre-show ends up being the one who goes over on the pay-per-view?
So I'm calling House of Black.
I want to say House of Black as well too because I think a loss hurts them more than it does Death Triangle.
And I don't think House of Black will grow, and here's why.
Okay.
I read an article just today, and I was going to put it up, but I didn't. That as soon as Kenny Omega comes back, they're going to introduce the Trios Champions. Because most of the stables are only 3 people. Mm-hmm. And we've been hearing about the Trios Championship for about a year.
We did. We talked about it previously ago about October.
So I think that they stay at 3. All right. Chris Statlander versus Layla Hirsch.
I think Chris Statlander.
I'm going to actually agree with that.
Yeah. Chris Statlander's on fire right now.
Hook versus QT Marshall.
Send in Hook.
That is Hook all the way. So
that is a buy-in pay-per-view show match right there because I don't give a fuck about QT Marshall.
Okay, so so far we agree with everything so far. So you're face the Revolution. So the winner of this gets a TNT Championship. You got Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, and Christian Cage. We now know who all the entrances are. Pick your winner.
I didn't look over at you for that. I was Wardlow.
So you pick Wardlow also?
I'm picking Wardlow. Because, I have to pick Wardlow because a few weeks ago we talked about where we were going with this, and I said, if there's ever a time to create the mass conflict between Wardlow and MJF, it would be now because, as you reminded me, they have it in the contract that MJF can take the opportunities from Wardlow if he sees fit. Wardlow will win this, which gives him
because the promo said you could keep the belt if you win it, but you're not gonna, and smacked him.
Yes, that right there was absolutely perfect, and I think that sets up a beautiful story between. It keeps MJF and Wardlow current. It gives Wardlow a chance to break. It also will allow, because he said he thought what he did to Punk and Dynamite was disgusting. It creates all of the necessary ingredients to boil the stew.
Right, because you got Keith Lee and Orange Cassidy.
And I don't think if you're talking about Keith Lee and Orange Cassidy, that's fine that they cost each other in some way.
No. I think that turns. I'm changing my thinking. I think this turns into a Keith Lee Orange Cassidy versus Team Taz feud.
Yeah.
And Christian Cage just can run the match.
Sense. Yeah.
He kind of directs the match with the ladder.
Well, yeah, because Jay is the future one. As I said, we have a lot of big boys in this match, and then Christian Cage.
And Ricky
basically, Starks. Well, Orange Cassidy, yeah. Okay, all right, so there's actually not too many of... It's a half and half for a second. I forgot Ricky Starks was smaller. Okay.
So then you have AHFO, the bland one, with Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy versus Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting. I want to say, before you pick this, that on Dynamite, Wednesday night, will be exactly 90 days for Jeff. So Jeff cannot legally be at this pay-per-view.
Which, we need to talk about Jeff Hardy and the situation for that, because I think that's very important.
I want to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. I mean, hopefully news does not come out since then, but I am just flabbergasted at how this is going about. You don't take a pay-per-view win away from Sting, I think. The fans are going to be pissed. I don't give a shit about Andrade El Idolo, and Matt Hardy is fucking dead to me at this point, and I don't give a fuck about Isaiah Cassidy. The only people I want to see win this match is Sammy, Darby, and Sting.
I think that Isaiah is going to end up pinning Sammy Guevara and set up that next TNT fight. I'm picking AHF. I don't like them. That's what I'm picking.
I mean,
all right, Jade versus Tay.
I want to see Tay Conte win, but I don't think she'll beat Jade Cargill.
So you're picking Jade?
I'm picking Jade. I want to see Ty Conte win.
I'm going to pick Ty.
I would not be surprised if she didn't walk away with the belt.
You'd be happy, but...
I would be happy. I would not be surprised.
But if you were putting money on a bet...
But if I was putting money on a bet, I think Jade Cargill is still the way to go, because she's only been wrestling a year. She's only been she is... right now, I think she has the best record in the fucking company, because she's undefeated.
Right.
She's got, 30-0 at this point?
Right.
Which isn't bad. They're still building her. I don't think Tay losing makes her... It's not, as you said earlier, it's not the WWE thinking where if Jade beats Tay, Tay's chasing the fucking 24/7 championship next week for absolutely no reason. Right. Jade beating her doesn't hurt Conte, and Conte coming back again would do that.
Because that's what they do. When you go to the bottom of the ladder, you watch them work their way back up.
Yeah, I don't think that takes away from her at all, but I'm going to say Jade wins because I think it's the smarter bet, and, I mean,
Did you listen to any of Cornette's work this week? He compared... So Cornette, they talked about the last week's AEW Keita Lyons. He compared...
Oh, God.
Cornette compared Keita Lyons to Jade Cargill.
Now, normally our Lord and Savior, Mr. JC Jim Cornette, I'm usually on board with about 95%.
He loves Keita Lyons.
So did fucking Brian Last.
I know.
They're both wrong. That bitch was horrible. And she can't cut a fucking promo, and her character makes no sense.
Well, they said all that. They said he can't make...
She's like 25 different gimmicks all rolled into one that make no sense. But they were like, oh, she looked great in the ring, except for... I think it was satire.
You think?
It had to have been satire, because you can't say she looked great in the ring and then say it made absolutely no sense that she did boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, taekwondo, and wrestling all as her gimmick in one shot. And she fucking missed half the moves that she did.
All right.
I'm sorry. I forgot to talk about how much I hated Nikita fucking Lyons.
She wasn't on the show last week.
It was Hear Me Fart. No, she did a promo. She did a promo.
I missed it.
On that. Well, she didn't come out to the ring and do a promo. They did a pre-tape in the back of her talking about all of the social media buzz that she had gotten about her debut.
You mean her ass? It was all about her ass. All right.
Sorry, we got distracted.
Jurassic Express, Red Dragon, Young Bucks.
Oh. Sadly, the only thing that makes sense is for Jurassic Express to retain, so that way the Red Dragon and Young Bucks can have a reason to still be angry at each other, because neither one of them wins. But also I could see this of Red Dragon getting it and the Young Bucks having an issue. But I think the fact that they're going for super ultimate heel version of the Undisputed Era reuniting, it would make sense for the Young Bucks to win it, so that way Red Dragon can be super pissy with the Young Bucks.
Isn't it exciting that there's 3 really good stories no matter who wins?
Well, unfortunately though, Jurassic Express is just kind of holding their dick in their hand for this, because they're great talent, but
they're just happy to be at the dance.
Yeah.
The only reason they're at the dance is because they have
they're just happy to be there, which is fine. And they really haven't done much with them since they won the belts to make them...
Because it's been building on who's the next challenger instead of actually giving them challengers.
The champions really haven't had much after that. I would say, is it time to put the belt on the Bucks?
Back on the Bucks.
And is it time to take it off Jurassic Express? Because like I said, I don't think Red Dragon would have it, because then it would make...
I've already written down my response. Because remember, I know since I write this,
I'm going to say Jurassic Express retains.
All right, you agree? I agree.
I think Jurassic Express retains because they want to continue the experiment, and I think it can be something as simple as the Bucks and Red Dragon have their feud falling out of this because technically one of the other ones cost the other one their shot when they were about to win it.
Right. And I didn't put graphics on for all these matches. I apologize, but there's so many in it.
If you watch any of this, you know what these motherfuckers look like, and if you don't, there's a Google box.
All right, Kingston, Jericho. I know you don't care for either one. I mean, you've kind of endured yourself to Kingston.
I don't mind Kingston, and I love Chris Jericho. I just don't. I have no interest in this.
Right.
Chris needs a win, in my opinion. But they shouldn't take anything away from Eddie after what he just did and what he came back to. Eddie Kingston.
I agree.
Eddie Kingston.
Probably the match one of the matches you're the most interested in.
I think Thunder Rosa takes it off Britt.
You do? Oh, you just got to throw it right out there.
I will always pick Thunder Rosa because she is hot.
All right, I think...
And Dr. Britt Baker is also hot.
I think Mrs. Adam Cole's keeping her belt.
She's had it for almost a year, hasn't she?
I just don't think that... I'm going...
Thunder Rosa's so over.
I agree.
And the thing with that is Thunder Rosa's over, but I think she needs a belt now that they've made her a babyface to keep her over. I think Britt does not need a belt to stay over.
Oh, I agree. You know what?
You already told me on this one. Punk wins the dog collar match.
Yep, you've convinced me. I'm moving my bet. I'm moving my chips over to the black.
Okay, all right. Are you going to be like Drake and lose like $300,000 on the Mostoval fight?
Nope. I'm still keeping my money on MJF, and you're on Punk. I get it. Moxley and Danielson. Well, we know this is going to be a messy match. We know this is going to be everywhere. We know there's going to be probably... The problem is, I hope
this is a different match.
Right, because I don't think that all three... there should not be blood in all three matches. The top four matches. Top 5 matches.
I do not think that there will be blood in the main event. I know that's been Paige's thing, but I think they've done it so much recently that it can't...
Well, it's not a garbage match. It's a wrestling match.
Yeah, but even then, I think they've just done it with Paige so much, and with what Adam Cole can do with Paige, I don't think that they'll... My hope is that it doesn't turn into a bloodbath. But speaking of Moxley versus Danielson, Danielson's only lost 2, right? Moxley's back fresh after rehab. Brian wants John to team with him for whatever fucking reason.
So they can start their own little Alpha Academy.
And John wants John will join him after they bleed together, which made no sense. Because at that point, if I was Daniel Bryan, I just would have been like, "You're now my bitch." I don't know. Does this go to a no contest?
No.
Can I pick no contest?
You can.
Both of these guys beat each other up so much that the ref counts the 10 and calls the match.
You can, sure, you can say no contest.
And that way they both don't lose. They both look great. Brian gets the respect out of John. John gets the respect out of Brian for it.
And they haven't ever done that yet.
And they haven't had they've had time limit draws.
Right, but this a no contest, because they do the 10 count. Like, which is WWE lost a long time, they do one.
I'm saying they do the 10 count. I'm saying this goes to a no contest.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. That's a good idea. I'm going to pick Brian. I'm picking Brian.
I would pick Brian if I wasn't going no contest, but I'm going no contest.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right, main event.
Hangman Page.
I agree.
Cole's great. He's great on the mic. We love Adam Cole, baby.
And for the bonus,
I'm saying,
does Kenny show up?
I would say Kenny shows up, yes. Will he show up? Probably. Will I be upset or surprised if he doesn't? No. Because he might not be ready.
I think he shows up too. He doesn't do anything.
I hope he doesn't do anything. We went over this last week, but I hope he just shows up on the ramp to do his thing.
I just wanted to see if you had changed your mind and after you've seen the week's worth of stuff.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
I think he shows up.
I think tonight, right now, this pay-per-view is going on right now, and it's probably amazing, and I can't wait to watch as many of the clips as I can for free. Because I'm sorry, I just don't have $50 for a pay-per-view. And start Venmoing us money so we can watch this stuff and review it.
Yeah.
All right, so final thought. You alluded to it earlier.
I'm interested. I'll probably get it.
I think this is awesome.
It is awesome.
And let me know when you find a way that you can buy it. Send a link.
Well, it's on the page, isn't it?
You just posted this picture.
No, I posted the link.
Oh, to the actual page? All right. Well, then fine.
It might be up on there right now. Hold on. Talk.
Final thoughts. It was a better than usual week for wrestling. Next week we're gonna talk about what's going on with Jeff Hardy, and we'll talk about whether he showed up or not, and the stuff that led him to where he got to be, and the lawsuits and the counter lawsuits, and the Mike thinks there should have been a lawsuits.
I think that for 1,000%, Jeff Hardy should be countersuing the WWE for wrongful termination, especially if they try and block him from
we'll talk about
going to AEW.
We'll talk about that and all the whys and the hows. We're going to talk about the pay-per-view that's going on right now.
Right there.
Okay.
It's also $60.
Okay. And then whatever else interesting happens in the world of wrestling. But that's all I've got. It's Yeah,
I mean, it's...
We actually didn't go over too long.
No,
we only went over...
No, well, you got to remember, I was also...
Yeah, we only went over 10 minutes.
Yes, no, it's not too terrible.
I'm going to go see Batman tonight.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I guess the final thought that I would like to have for this is I want to actually address something that somebody actually talked to me about a while back. And because the pay-per-view is going on and we've had a lot of positive things over the last few weeks to talk about AEW, there are still... One of the things is, as I alluded to earlier, I don't get to see all the bad of AEW because I get a lot of stuff cut and cropped out when I go to my site.
And there is still bad.
I watch it, right? There is still bad, okay? But... if you want to say bandwagon, sure, I'll take the hit. Call me on that. That's fine for it. I'm not saying that's the phrase that was using, but I definitely get that it seems like, we've had a good hard shift over to AEW. And one of the reasons for that harkens back to Vince's statement on the Pat McAfee show. If nothing else, Tony Khan is at least trying to accomplish things that fans talk about that they want to see or are interested in, or people that they think have value that should be brought up to a certain point, and he's attempting to do that. Vince, on the other hand, has decided to give us 5 part-timers over a 2-night event and only announced 10 matches of the potential 16 to 20 matches that we have right now. And we almost have a complete day that has no card yet. And honestly, there's no one left on the roster who's even remotely interesting to see get brought up at this point to be on the other half of this card. So, yes. Well, why would we not be rooting for AEW right now? It's not because I hate the WWE and it sucks. It's just their product sucks right now. And it has sucked for a decent amount of time. I, for one, am almost sad at this point that we're not in the Thunderdome era, because at least we were getting bad things on television, but at least we were getting interestingly bad things on television. We're like people being set on fucking fire.
Or murdered.
Yes. Every week that I tune into Raw right now, I have trouble remembering what has happened. And I just watched it, and that's how uninteresting Raw is.
So right now, with the big shows, you're always looking at surprises. Looking what's going to surprise me. Right now, there are only 3 wrestlers that I can think of that are not active on the card that could be anything surprising for WrestleMania. Bayley, Asuka, and Elias.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 people that are still contracted that aren't doing anything.
And the only person that is rumored that's interesting right now is Cody, and I have no interest in Cody.
Again, what's Cody, like you said last week, what's Cody going to do? Hey, I'm here, my big pop, and there's the mid-card. Yeah. I mean, MJF makes fun of it every day on his Facebook page, and it's true.
I mean,
get back in your hole.
Look at... Do you think that Cody Rhodes is going to challenge Roman Reigns for the dual Universal Championship that he will be winning at WrestleMania probably? Because why wouldn't Roman Reigns win the double championship?
Cody should show back up in Ring of Honor. It's the only safe thing for him. That way you can have I forgot to mention.
Unless, of course, Cody is... My hope is that Cody is playing the long game of what everybody said that Vince told Hogan, Hall, and Nash to do, to go down to the WCW and TNA and bleed them dry so that way they went out of business. My hope is that Tony Khan went to Cody and was like, hey, Vince gave me a call and was saying I could come back at any time. And Tony goes, yeah, do that. That'll be good. Go back for like 1 to 3 years, get a bunch of money from Vince, and then come back down here and talk about how, all this went down. Yeah, do that. It's the only thing I could think of why he would bother doing that.
That's what I got.
That's pretty much it. That's the most interesting thing is, I guess it does speak a little bit of volumes to Cody Rhodes, but he is at least the most interesting thing about what could happen at WrestleMania. But WrestleMania right now looks like, it's about as flat as the ass of a white girl doing gymnastics at a bar.
Oh my god.
Like, it is uninteresting as shit.
And we don't even have a card. We don't even have a place for Bad Bunny anymore.
Bad Bunny will be on the other day that we don't have.
But Damien's a heel. That was his homie.
I'm sure Bad Bunny will wrestle somebody else. Bad Bunny will wrestle, I don't know.
Dominic? Oh, wait, no, he's got a match. Ivar? All right, guys.
Have a good night.